PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. We have a special treat for you. Brack, Johnny Venerable, NFL Network, Fox Sports. Brian Baldinger joins the program now and during the season. Baldy, thank you so much. First time here on PHNX Cardinals. Welcome.
Yes, my pleasure, guys. I'm looking forward to this weekly conversation here and getting all things Arizona Cardinals talked about here and see, if we can figure out a way for this team to finish games, because they certainly have started like gangbusters 2 weeks in a row. And I'm just waiting for them right now, to maybe it starts this week against Dallas. I don't know. It's a good team, but who knows? See if they can figure out a way to finish these games.
I mean, that's what we've been hearing from the coaching staff the last couple of days. Got to learn how to finish. We got to learn how to finish. And Baldy, I mean, that's easier said than done, isn't it? I mean, I know you don't want to relinquish a 20-0 halftime lead and 28-7 like they did, but I mean, this is part of the process, isn't it?
Well, the way that you finish games is you continue to make plays. I mean, Connor's popping these 20-yard runs in the first half, and Joshua Dobbs, takes a scramble up the middle, and he's in the end zone. And, they're clicking, and defensively they're getting off the field. And, and Daniel Jones and the run, they're not happening. And then that first play of the third quarter, the Giants they're like, okay, we're going to max this up. We're going to strike. We're going to get one on the board. We got to score one before we score five, and it kind of started to turn on. But that's the key, is to stay aggressive and then to continue to really not just produce, but execute at a very high level, where those runs, you could continue to do that. And that's what they weren't able to do. Those 20-yard runs became 1-yard runs. And then the penalties and those things, started to happen. They started backing up, and they couldn't regain the momentum they had in that first half.
I think the frustration, Baldy, internally, Cardinal fans, we got 83 in the chat, loving the Baldy breakdown, of course, is the Cardinals came into this season favored in no games. The expectations could not be lower. Yet, when you watch the tape each of these first 2 weeks, certainly doesn't look like a team planning on phoning it in 2023.
I heard all of it. I heard, they're just, they are going to just tank. Like, I've heard all of it, right? So I said, okay, well, let's just see what tank looks like. And I put on the Washington game last week, probably like Monday night or maybe Tuesday morning. I put it on, and I'm like, ain't nobody tanking on this team. Nobody. Josh not tanking. Like, Xavier Collins ain't tanking. Like, I go through the whole list of players. Jalen Thompson's not tanking. Like, I didn't see anybody. In fact, I saw a Jonathan. In fact, I made a video that I put up. I actually tagged the Philadelphia Eagles, because they never saw this from Jonathan Gannon. Maybe he just had so much talent, he didn't feel like he had to. And maybe because he doesn't have Eagle talent right now, as they start to build this thing, maybe this is what he felt like he needed to do. But Eagle fans were like, well, now, we lose the Super Bowl. Now he does this. Like, they were clamoring for this. But I saw an aggressive team. I saw really good sound, good hard-hitting blitzes. I saw good hitting, tackling. I saw a good-looking football team week one. And then, really for the first 30 minutes against the Giants, I can't remember a Giant team being that dominated like that. I know the week before against Dallas, but they looked every bit as bad against Arizona against Dallas.
And then you break down the comeback in one of your Baldy breakdowns. You can find that clip on YouTube. It's really fantastic stuff, in-depth things. And it's more geared towards Giants fans for the most part. But if you're watching from a Cardinals fan perspective, you can kind of see where things fell apart. When we look at this defense that gives up 5 scores on 5 drives in the second half, including 4 touchdowns, and it probably would have been a 5th if they didn't just try to run the clock out and they kicked the field goal. But when you look at it, was it more a schematic issue? Was it execution issue? In your opinion, what do you think was the biggest issue that led to them relinquishing that lead?
Well, they got big plays. They got big chunk plays. 70 yards to Jalen Hyatt and 50 yards, down the field. They hit Slayton. They hit Hyatt. They hit Waller. And they really, they've got a first-time right guard playing. They got a backup left tackle playing. They're trying to, help these kids out. They started going to max protection, play action. Daniel Jones stepped into his throws. Like, they played like they're capable of playing. They've got good firepower at the receiver position, and they started hitting on those routes down the field, and they flipped field position very quickly. And then they kind of got the running game going a little bit. Not great, but they got it going. Daniel Jones ran for those third down runs, 3rd and 13. He's running for 15. And so they didn't account for him in the run game the way I think they should have.
11. That was a backbreaker.
4th and 11. They get 12 yards. Like those, that should be a turnover. Like, Daniel Jones shouldn't go. They've got decent speed on defense. Like, you got to account for him. They used to, outside of Justin Fields last year, he ran for more yards than any quarterback in the NFL. Like, he's a good runner. And a lot of those weren't, the touchdown was a design run. It was a read option. They didn't scheme that up right. So he walks into the end zone 14 yards. But a lot of those scrambles, 3rd down, 4th down, that's just him using that ability. And they didn't really account for him. And that, to me, was a big error.
So Josh Dobbs comes in, Baldy. He has about a week and a half of practice and promptly looks rusty against the Commanders, then comes out this past weekend and looks pretty good, especially in the first half against the Giants. Now, drinking the Kool-Aid here, 72 hours later, can he potentially keep them in games and God forbid, win them a game while Kyler Murray is out? Or is this a scenario in which it's going to be a roller coaster ride with a guy who's had his cup of coffee in the NFL, minimal experience starting? Like, our team's going to be able to figure him out, for lack of a better term?
Well, I know Josh on a different level. Like, I did a business deal with him when he was in Pittsburgh and found out he's this aeronautical engineer. He's like this Mensa. Like, he's smarter than all of our brains put together. Now, that doesn't ensure anything. You might be able to figure out mathematical formulas, but it doesn't complete passes. But I do think he's a very quick study. I think he's got like this instant memorization ability to just see things and have, like, it's a high Q thing. Like, I think he can see things and he knows where people are at. So, like, he did that at Tennessee last year, and he played pretty good when he got a chance to play. Hasn't played a lot of football since he's been in. He's been out of the league, in and out, different teams. But he came in here, and they basically said, "You're our guy." And I think once he got the support of Gannon and the offensive staff, like, he felt like, okay, I can do this for as long as they let me do this, And so, or at least until Kyler returns or whatever. But I think he's just one of those guys that's like, I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity. Like, I played well at Tennessee. I played decent in spot duty at Pittsburgh, Tennessee here. Like, let me run with this. And sometimes you never know what a guy can do till they get a real opportunity. Not a quarter or finish a game, but a real opportunity. And so maybe they see something in the meeting rooms, the walkthroughs, like the way that he communicates. He's a very basically calm guy. He's not real emotional. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes, you need that. But, like, I think from just a standpoint of let's execute the play, I think he's good at that and knowing where to go and what to do. And that's not a bad place to start. That's better than saying we're just going to throw a guy out there to tank, and to hell with the season. Like, he plays pretty good in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, he's Nostradamus as well. As smart as he is, he said, I'm going to make a jump from week 1 to week 2. He absolutely did that. And then we were talking today, Baldy, and he said, hey, next thing we need to figure out is how to finish some games. You kind of gave us an idea of what finishing looks like for them. But just looking at Dobbs' complete tape, what do you think? I mean, we saw some throws I don't think we knew Dobbs had in his arsenal on Sunday. We saw the versatility. What do you think mainly about that big touchdown run? I thought that was fantastic, where he drops back the pass, he sees the open field, and then he lowers his shoulder to get into the end zone. I mean, Dobbs, mobility, smarts, what can he show in week 3, the first time he's going to make 3 consecutive starts in his career?
Well, I didn't know he had that in him. I didn't know he had that type of athletic ability, and then to finish that run 23 yards in the end zone like that. I didn't know he could do that. So, but you don't know anything until a guy starts playing and you start looking at him. The Cowboys will account for him right now. Somebody is going to account for him on 3rd downs. And when they're in man coverage and guys are turning their backs and running with Hollywood and Zach and some of the guys, Rondale, whatever. Like they got to have somebody account for him now. So that might change what Dan Quinn does a little bit. They've got tremendous team speed in Dallas. Windows open, but they close very quickly. The Jets found that out. The big thing I think this week is not to let what happened in that Jets game against Dallas or that Giants game against Dallas, where things can snowball very quickly. Like you can't turn the ball, you can't turn it over. And everybody says that you can't turn it over. Well, you got to be aggressive though. You know, like honestly, Jalen Thompson's interception goes right through the hands of Saquon Barkley. Like you don't expect that, but those things can happen both sides. It can happen both ways. But you know, Jalen got the pick, and you know it was a big part of that first half. But you know they can't afford to do those kind of things. And when they get to Dak, because I think they're going to get there, they got to get them to the ground. They can't let this ball come out late, Jake Ferguson or to CD. Like they got to get them down on the ground.
This season, while they are attempting to win games, you know, they're projected for just over 4.5 this season, Baldy, is I think more so about evaluation of talent that was here during the Cliff Kingsbury, Steve Keim era, evaluation of these prospects they drafted back in April. Is there a young player on this team, either side of the ball, that has impressed you, jumped off the tape each of these first 2 weeks, whether it's Paris Johnson Jr. at right tackle? I know you're a big Zaven Collins fan. He transitions from inside to an edge rusher, somebody that you have liked for this team. Because, I mean, frankly, we talk about it all the time. They are starved for star players. They don't have those quintessential household names anymore.
Parsons has been impressive at right tackle. He's been impressive. I mean, he's going to see Parsons out there now. You find out a lot about him. He's going to see Nick Bosa the following week. He's going to see Trey Hendrickson. He's going to see 3 elite guys. Now, the question is, if he gets beat, what's the mental part? Does he go in the tank? Does he erase it, come back, learn from the mistake, if that happens? But it's probably going to happen against some of these elite guys he's going to see out there. I want to kind of see that. But, you know, he actually, obviously, you know, he's very athletic and, you know, he's very smart. But I saw some things at Ohio State where some of the things that these guys he's going to see can give him a problem. Bosa has unusual power. Like he hasn't seen that in college. He hasn't seen the first 2 weeks either. Like maybe Montez Sweat at times, but like this is different type of power. And then nobody moves like Micah. So it's great test as you begin the evaluation process. Let's watch him against these elite guys, and let's really make an evaluation of Paris because I think he's good. I mean, does he end up taking over for DJ at left? That might happen. I don't know. But that's something that you're always thinking about. He played left. He played guard. He played tackle in college. So he's lined up at left. But DJ's there. So he's at right now. But anyways, like, that's an evaluation. I think Gardeck is a good player. I just always have thought he was a good player. I'm interested. I'm watching Zaven on the outside. I see power. It's a completely different position. I see him moving around a little bit. It's a different position than what he's played. But he was a guy that didn't get off blocks good in the run game as an inside linebacker. He didn't use his hands well. You know, he was always the biggest kid, you know, level. He's just bigger and stronger than everybody. So he never had to use these hands to disengage and get off blocks. And he looked like he didn't know how to do it, to be honest with you. Yeah. And so let him run, let him go get the interception last week. That's good. You know, tip ball, get the interception. But, you know, I think that, you know, this has a chance to, you know, I mean, I'd give him a shot out there and see what he does.
I mean, throughout training camp, throughout preseason, I mean, Zaven's out there on the sideline doing all the hand technique stuff. I mean, because you can tell it's all kind of foreign to him as far as that hand fighting that you see from pass rushers. Last question for our guy, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, he's going to join us once a week here on PHNX Cardinals. We're pumped about that. Nick Rallis, 30-year-old defensive coordinator, this prodigy, and just looking at some of these formations that he's setting up or the calls that he's putting in there. I mean, there's some looks, Baldy. You saw it against Washington. You saw it against New York. No defensive lineman. There's no defensive lineman on the field. It's all, you know, outside backers. It's all inside backers. Have you ever seen that before?
No, but I know, you know, Nick was a 26-year-old position coach. You know, like he just has a good mind for the game. And it didn't surprise me that Jonathan got him out of Philly and took him, because right now, honestly, the Eagles linebackers look completely lost. Like, they're lost, and it's going to be a problem. And I think losing Nick is a big part of that. Be honest with you. The guy can flat out coach. Now, calling a game is different than coaching a position group and all that, and everybody learns. But you got to be impressed by some of the free hitters that they've gotten to these quarterbacks. The way that they have tackled, I think, has been pretty good. Coverage is always something that everybody's dealing with because of what you got to do in this league and who you got to cover. That's always something that you're working on. Communication is huge. But I forgot that Nick is all of 30 years old now. You know? Like, he's actually a grown-up. Like, I knew him. I did a football camp with him with high school kids maybe like 4 years ago, and I got to know him. We stayed in touch, texted back and forth. And he was coming to Philly, you know, when Nick Sirianni came to be the linebacker coach. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's see what a 26-year-old can do. And he was damn good.
Well, real quick, like I'm sure Philadelphia is not pleased. I mean, the tampering charges against Jonathan Gannon, Monty Ossenford, that happened. I wonder too, like, that's probably the next defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, Nick Rallis, if Gannon doesn't take him with him. I mean, or certainly he's in contention for that job.
Well, they went outside the organization to go get, you know, Sean Desai, who's a disciple of Vic Fangio and all this stuff. But Nick, I don't think there's any question that Nick would have been elevated to defensive coordinator if Gannon didn't take him with him and give him the title and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure, because they hired Brian Johnson, the quarterback coach, to be the offensive coordinator. I'm sure Nick wanted to keep as much familiarity with what helped them get to the Super Bowl, lead the league in sacks, all the stuff that they did last year. I'm sure that would have been the hire.
I've got a brand new favorite segment of the week. It's when Brian Baldy joins us each and every week here on PHNX Cardinals. Make sure you're following along at Baldy NFL. Unbelievable insight that you're going to get on this podcast each and every week. Baldy, thank you so much for your time this week. We'll talk to you next week, hopefully after Cardinals beat the Cowboys in week 3.
Well, that would shock and awe the NFL. All right, that you know. And then, then you go to San Francisco and knock the 49ers off and just, get on a tear. Who knows?
Speak on language. We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys, you bet. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unmatched. You're not going to find analysis like that anywhere else. Baldy brings it each and every week, no matter if he's on it with the NFL Network, whether it's his Baldy breakdowns. It's the best you can find, and it's right here with ALLCITY and PHNX.
Our leadership in the chat getting it done. Saul, Espo, Brandon at ALLCITY. I mean, just, hey, you're going to have Brian Baldinger on once a week. Oh, really? Okay, great. It's like I'm like 12 years old watching NFL Network, but this is PHNX Cardinals. So, and it's for everybody here.
He's not that old. Don't say that you've been watching NFL Network since you're 12.
22 years old.
Yeah,
everybody,
exactly.
He's fantastic. And hopefully we get to talk to him about Kyler Murray eventually this season. We're going to talk about K1 here in a hot minute. So the Cardinals, not sure if you guys are familiar with BetMGM. Of course you are. 12-point dog. So that line's kind of maneuvering around 13, 12. Right now, though, we can hook you up. You want to do a parlay pick with our friends at BetMGM? How about bet 10, get 20? Sign up with that bonus code PHNX. I'm going to tell you right now, I like the under in the Cardinals game, same game parlay. And, there's some money to be made on the Cards money line. I don't know if I'm gonna dabble yet, but I'm looking for some plus money. Zach Ertz anytime touchdown parlayed with the under. Yes, please place your first bet with BetMGM wager through the Sportsbook mobile application of your choosing. $10, you get 200. Super easy. Again, you can go to betmgm.com and use that bonus code PHNX. But you got to deposit at least 10 bones to get the 200. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to our guy Shane Diefenbach talk about it in the disclaimer.
Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
It was a beautiful overcast day here in the Valley of Sun. I think everybody would sign up for that, but I busted out my Shady Rays because there's not a day that goes by that I'm not wearing premium polarized sunglasses from our friends over at Shady Rays, gear built to last. And of course, if they get busted up, if you lose them, they have the no question asked. They'll replace your Shady Rays as well. You can't go wrong with Shady Rays. The price point well under $100. Find out for yourself what 250,000 people have rated 5 stars. Go online, shadyrays.com. Check out their entire product line, and then pick out 2 or more pairs of your favorite sunglasses from Shady Rays and save yourself 50% when you purchase them by using the promo code PHNX. Go to shadyrays.com, use the promo code PHNX to get 50% off 2 or more pairs of premium polarized shades from Shady Rays. Use that promo code, and you won't regret making the switch to our friends over at Shady Rays.
AZ Fan 1998, friend of the program, always coming up clutch. Super chat, $2. Perfect transition, my guy or gal. Kyler Murray time is coming. Bring it, baby. Is it coming? Well, we got a little clue today. Unprompted, Bo Brock. Kyler Murray took to social media. See, sometimes you have to be crafty, right? Because, I have the notifications turned on for Twitter when Kyler tweets. Don't judge me. Certainly the scrubbing of the Instagram once upon a time. It's on my radar. Notifications on there. My man's been active on TikTok. He posted the following on TikTok earlier today, and I'm just going to let his comments speak for us.
Yeah, so we've got the audio turned down. So because for our listeners out here, I tore my ACL 8 months ago. This is the only major injury I've had. This is Kyler. He's back in the lab like Johnny at Curves in South Chandler.
Come on.
I've never missed a game like this. I'm itching to get back. He's doing some sumo squats there, it looks like. Johnny, when was the last time you did a squat?
Legs aren't important.
You learn a lot about yourself in these types of moments. Our guy Sean DePaz is doing some lunges in here. You're all crazy. As Kyler Murray's TikTok continues, speaking to his fan base. To those of you who ride with me, support me, speak up for me, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. I won't let us down. And that's not it. Puts down the weight.
Yeah, this is what we like to call the ultimate tease. Soon. What does soon mean? Well, I mean, I don't think it means later. I don't think it means all season. I'm not going to be back all season. I think soon means soon, and I take that as I'm gonna be aggressively optimistic here. I think soon means I'm coming off PUP in 2 weeks. That's what I think soon means. Now, I don't know if that means I'm playing against the Cincinnati Bengals in 2 weeks, because that's only 1 week of practice. But PUP time, let's check that box. Let's remove old K1. That's what I think it means. Bo, you might have a difference of opinion.
I mean, the dictionary definition of soon is just in or after a short time. So, to drop a soon, and there's so many Twitter doctors and rehab specialists out there looking at this video and saying, well, it doesn't look like it's going to be soon. I mean, Kyler Murray, I think he always walks with a little hitch in his giddy up anyways. I think, I wouldn't doubt as soon as he's eligible to return from PUP that he's activated and then the window opens, right? Then you've got a 21-day window to work with and make a decision on when you want to truly put him on the active roster. I don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, this was a guy that, said back before training camp began, hey, don't put me on any lists. Don't count me out.
Right.
And he didn't want to be counted out. And then he remained on PUP once the regular season began. And that took him out the first 4 weeks. And you start reaching these checkpoints. And I think that the organization, no doubt about it, is going to utilize the smoke screen as much as they can at when Kyler Murray is going to return. And you can say if he's eligible, come back week 5. I'm still skeptical that could happen. But can he be activated? Can he get back practicing in some capacity and back out there on the field? I think that's a certain possibility.
Arizona Animal, Johnny counts running his leg day. You bet your sweet ass I do. It's leg day. Folks are saying soon 6 to 7 weeks into the season. I think that's kind of always been the timeline, right? Like once we knew after the Dobbs trade, which was very much a precursor to, okay, we're putting him on PUP. It was like, okay, minimum 4 weeks, but more realistically, he's never taken a snap from Yelda Froldholt that I know, like in a live practice. that's a problem, right? We saw it with Dobbs week 1 that led to the fumble against the Commanders to change the game. It's little cadences like that. Like, I have no doubt he knows the playbook, right? He knows some of the tendencies from his guys, Rondell and Hollywood, but just integrating him under, like, a big part of this, he's never played under center before.
Right.
And he's going to like have 2.5 practices and be ready to go. It's a 2 tight end offense. I love this offense. We're going to talk about why I think it's on the rise here in a little bit on the show, but I think minimum 2 weeks of full practice. And that would lead him to be back in week 7 on the road. I have no issue with that. Anytime in October, I think Cardinal fans would sign up for. I know a lot of people have been kicking around like November. I don't see that. I think he mentioned it in the video. It's been 8 months. We're almost to 9 months here. Dobbs playing well this week and next week will make it easier to be patient with K1. If Dobbs reverts back against 2 elite defenses, like he looked in week 1 against the Commanders, and there's turnover, then there will be pressure. You talked about that pressure last week leading up to the Giants game. If Dobbs wets the bed against the Giants and people are clamoring for Clayton Tune, which good hell, that's not the answer right now. Maybe it'll expedite Kyler Murray's comeback. I wonder too internally if let's say Dobbs comes out, has another no turnover game, and they're very competitive. Like, again, I think that plays a part in this. I know because I'm going to be frank, like Kyler Murray's not good enough right now with this roster at full strength to beat the Dallas Cowboys this weekend without some breaks. Same thing going to Santa Clara and beating the 49ers. And I know it's not all about the wins and losses, but that has to play a part in that. Whereas like Damon Dog, can we pull up our schedule real quick? Look at this meat in the middle of the schedule, this soft landing space for the Arizona Cardinals. You get through this gauntlet of teams these next 3 weeks, like very beatable Rams team. I think they're big time frauds. The Seahawks should be 0-2 right now. Baltimore's good. That'll be a competitive game. But then weeks 9 through 12, everything that's going on in Cleveland right now, I'm not a believer in Atlanta. Get the hell out of here. The Texans are awful. Again, we mentioned the Rams. The second half of the Cardinals schedule, real talk for a second. The Bears are terrible. I think the Steelers are terrible. I think the Seahawks are grossly overrated. This is a nice landing spot wherever he falls after week 5. But these next 3 weeks, I think if Dobbs can be competent again, Bo Brock, there should not be an incentive to rush him back.
Yeah, it gives you an opportunity, no doubt, to bring him along slowly. And you made some great points as far as what is going to be maybe the hurdles once he's cleared medically and football-wise that he's going to have to get up to speed on. Now, I know we don't say Colt McCoy's name a whole lot on this podcast any longer after they cut him, but he had mentioned on the Green Light podcast when he joined Chris Long way back when he was QB1 of this team in the interim, that the footwork was something that was foreign to him in Drew Petzing's offense. And then the under center thing, not just taking snaps from Yelder Fold, but Kyler Murray, basically his entire NFL career has been from the shotgun. So just being under center is going to be new to him. And the only way he's going to get better is reps from it. And you don't want to have those first reps be live reps in an actual game. So I think you're right. It's probably going to be, it's not going to be like Deshaun Watson, who got to come back to the facility and practice earlier before his suspension was up and then actually get some time with his teammates, where this is going to be Kyler Murray's first opportunity. On PUP, he doesn't get to interact with Yelder Froholt on the field of play at all. He doesn't get to take any snaps or anything. He just gets to work on his rehab. Sure, he gets to be in the meeting room. He gets to be in the locker room. But there is going to be a process as far as him getting back up to speed. It's not like, where the offense that Petzing was the quarterback coach for last year in Cleveland, where you can kind of do that behind the scenes, ease him in before he's activated. So it's going to be a process, and probably you'd hope it's like Izzy Wolfork, their quarterback coach, he said last week to us on Friday that he didn't think it was going to take too long just because he's getting the mental reps, but it is going to be like, hey, you're active, get in there. So, Gannon talked about it as well. He's like, there's two parts of this. There's the health standpoint. He needs to get 100% healthy. And then there's the football standpoint. And then we'll talk about that once the health is kind of checked off.
Well, I don't mean to be hypocritical of my original point, but Josh Dobbs played for this team after 2 practices. And again, it wasn't good, but
he knew the system.
Okay. Like I think Kyler Murray.
He was working with Petzing, and he's working with Wolfrick, their quarterback coach, from throughout the offseason last year, through preseason and into about November before Tennessee picked him up late in the year.
But it'd been like 8 months since that. I know he retains information. I get that, but I also think, like, yes, the transition is going to be difficult for Kyler Murray. I think this is all health. I honestly believe, like, if Kyler Murray, if they're playing a cupcake game at home this weekend, he's healthy, he's going to just say, throw me out there. I can figure it out. Right. But I think from a physical standpoint, a muscle memory standpoint of going under center and taking 5 to 7 step drops, that's the biggest hurdle. I don't think it's like, well, where's he going to go with the ball? And that, like, Kyler Murray, I have immense confidence is going to be able to figure that out. He can go through his progressions. He's been studying the playbook. He's been side to side with Drew Petzing and JG this entire offseason. I think it's more so, man, ramping up football work. It's rehab and football work are two separate things. Just he's in great shape already. He looks phenomenal. We saw him at training camp in the locker room. I mean, he's cut up. He looks exactly the same as last year. But it's the stuff that you can't see, that you can't measure. How is that leg, the ACL, the knee going to react when he pivots on it, when he hands the ball off to James Conner, when he has to take off on the run, right? I'm going to tell you right now, though, and this is going to be the biggest test these next 2 weeks. If this offensive line can protect the way they've protected these first 2 weeks, that bodes incredibly well for Kyler Murray to play well this season. One of the biggest indictments of this team these first couple of years with Kyler Murray is the offensive line was terrible. It was so bad. And now he's got a chance to join the offense. They've given up 3 sacks. They didn't give up a sack against the Giants.
Yeah. 31 dropbacks, no sacks. It was a really impressive game for the Arizona Cardinals. And they were facing a top 5 pick in Kayvon Thibodeau. And there was a couple top 5 picks on that defensive line for the Giants. But regardless, any way you cut it up, it's a positive development for the Arizona Cardinals. For Kyler Murray to be out there posting, it continues to show the chip on his shoulder, the will to prove everybody wrong and show everybody that's been in his corner, make them feel like they were right in being in Kyler Murray's corner the entire time.
Yeah. I mean, it's very encouraging. And I put that clip out there today and overwhelming positive support. I mean, you get the people that talk about Call of Duty and that BS, but yeah, it's just Kyler Murray's going to have his chance. We say it all the time. We'll repeat it, to put a staple on this team this year and to make things uncomfortable if this team wants to go get a quarterback in April. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Houston. I think CJ Stroud's playing pretty well, but I still expect that pick to be really high. If Kyler Murray wants to force the issue, he's going to have a chance to do that. And if you're Kyler Murray, what more can you ask? Like, it's a generational quarterback class next April. But if you push your team far enough out of contention and you continue to make the right impression on and off the field, they will stick with Kyler Murray. They will say, we're going to saddle our careers, Austin Ford and Gannon, with this guy. We're going to pay him $45 million. But, I mean, he's got to play well. And I can't wait to ask Brian Baldinger when he does play, when he's on our show every single week, like, what do they need to see from Kyler Murray when he comes back, right? The intangible piece is a big part of it, but, like, going through his progressions, what completion percentage does he need to hit? How comfortable does he need to look? I mean, Dobbs looked pretty good this weekend. Like, he needs to look much better than Joshua Dobbs. If he looks like Joshua Dobbs at times, then we're going to have some questions to be asked. I don't think he will. I think, again, it's a segmented part of the season, right? We're going through it right now. Toughest part of the schedule. You get to that soft spot and you get K1 back. I mean, there are not too many other franchises I'd want to follow during that time.
Just the accuracy, it's there. I mean, Josh Dobbs, who made some really good throws, especially on third down in the first half. 2 of them that stand out to me from Michael Wilson. Kyler Murray can make those throws. Just look back at his highlights. Remember him dropping in the bucket to AJ Green on some big plays. And he's going to get separation from his receivers unlike he's ever had in his NFL career. I mean, like, Cliff Kingsbury's offense was not based on getting separation. It wasn't at all. It was like setting up 50-50 balls and hopefully winning those one-on-one matchups.
Out-athleting people.
Yeah, out-athlete. Lean on Kyler Murray. Just have Kyler Murray just go out there and make a play for you, where I think that's where it's going to separate, with Josh Dobbs. Like, Josh Dobbs operationally, like, he's operating the system well, but then you've got that next gear with Kyler Murray. And there will have to be some patience preached as well. I mean, coming off the injury that he is, and obviously the learning curve from going from a system that he's been running basically since his 8th grade to now. There's going to be some speed bumps there, but Kyler Murray is going to be in a pretty good spot and overall positive for the Arizona Cardinals. That soon he's itching to come back, and he's itching to come back soon, according to his latest TikTok.
It's exciting.
The TikTok, man. I mean, you're just what's on his threads? Anything on threads from Kyler Murray?
I can't follow another social media platform with K1. Like, would you ever watch The Office when they had that YARP where Ryan developed that thing where you could tweet out from every social network? I need one I need like a mobile device just for Kyler Murray's social accounts.
Yeah, anytime Kyler Murray sends a fax, you get it sent directly to your device.
He's crafty, man. And it's like, oh, you're gonna post on Twitter? Nope, it's IG. Nope, it's TikTok.
Do you think TikTok, Josh Dobbs made him up his TikTok game because Josh Dobbs is so elite in TikTok?
I hope not. I hope Josh Dobbs gets off TikTok. Hey, everybody, Josh Dobbs here. We just blew a 28-7 lead in the second half. Let me walk you through the locker room right now. Here on my TikTok
it's Joshua Dobbs. We blew a 21-point lead. How did it happen?
Let's talk to Jonathan Gannon. Hey, Coach, what do you? I love Josh.
That effing phone out of my face. Yeah, that's great.
Check out his TikTok. It's good. He's a good laugh. You can see him in action this weekend. If you want some tickets to the game, listen, a big precursor sub-bullet of this game is Dallas Cowboys taking over State Farm Stadium. Don't let that happen. Get your tickets right now. Cardinals, Cowboys with the Game Time app. And you're thinking, Johnny, I don't want to pay right now. I want to pay Friday. I want to pay Saturday. Hell, I want to pay Sunday. No worries. Procrastinators are rewarded on your premium ticket app. I love Game Time. It's the only place I buy tickets, period. I deleted all the other apps. I blocked all the other websites. I'm going to hook you up. $20 off your first purchase with promo code PHNX. Again, I knew somebody last year went to the Saints-Cardinals game, Thursday Night Football, bought tickets same day, like 10 rows up, 50-yard line, $150. I mean, this weekend, I want to see some red and white. Let's support our Cardinals again. I know people are like iffy on season tickets. Just go week to week with Game Time, baby. It's going to save you significant coin. All you got to do, download the Game Time app, create an account, right? Super easy. Use that code PHNX for your first purchase. Again, last minute tickets, lowest prices. You know what they also do on Game Time? I believe they also do parking passes too, which I did not know. So if you're thinking, I want tickets and I want to park in one of the premier lots, or I'm fine walking, you can like scout parking pass prices from anywhere from like $5 to like $25, $30. $2. So I mean,
$4. That's what I paid. My wife went to the game last week. There was a few fees on it, but it still was cheaper than any parking pass you can find anywhere.
That's unreal.
Yeah, I got 2 parking passes for under. I think I paid $4 and $6, and there was a $2 one as well.
Well, I bought tickets for Game Time for somebody I know for the preseason game, and I'm like, yeah, we'll probably have to look for a parking pass somewhere else. And then I casually searched Game Time, and there they were. So literally everything you need for your game day experience, minus, consuming this podcast, get it through Game Time.
Yeah, Game Time legit. As I said, my wife took my son to his very first football game on Sunday. Unfortunately, he didn't get that dub. He saw some good football, though, that's for sure. He may or may not have snoozed in the third quarter. That might have been the reason why the downfall of the Cardinals. But
Danny Dimes will do that to you. He'll put you asleep.
Yeah, he did. Their offense certainly did. But Game Time, legit. Kid also loves bean and cheese burritos, and you can't find one better than our friends over at Burrito Express. Unreal. Or any of your favorite burritos flavors, you can find them at their multiple Valley locations, including that Tempe location. Go to Burrito Express. Of course, they support Arizona State athletics and their athletes. Thank you so much, for the food. They dropped off some burritos earlier this week. I was eating on some bean and cheese burritos, the OG burritos, a couple times this week, thanks to our friends over at Burrito Express. Grab a burrito and follow Burrito Express on Twitter at Burrito EXP. They got some fire sports takes on there. And of course, they're going to keep you up to date with what they're doing with ASU athletics. And of course, any of their new products that they're dropping in their different locations around the Valley.
So I teased in the prior segment a stat that I saw on the Twitter tweets this morning that I was super impressed by. Like, I know the Cardinals offense struggled in week 1, but like in terms of like 3 and outs, I can't remember too many 3 and outs outside of when it mattered in the fourth quarter. I get that. You compare this team to last year, it is night and day. This is from Warren Sharp on Twitter as it relates to the 3 and outs for all teams this year. Drew Petzing's fired up about it. The Cardinals have the 4th fewest 3 and outs this year of any team. They have 6 3 and outs in 2 games. Compare that. Pittsburgh has 14. Now, Matt Canada is terrible. He should be fired. Baby hands Pickett. I'm not interested. But like Indianapolis, Cincinnati, 13. Jacksonville, Jalen Hurts, and Philadelphia, 12. The Cardinals in 2 games with a defensive head coach and Josh Dobbs have 6 3 and outs. Like Kingsbury's offense last year, I feel like I'm just making this up on the fly. They had to have been top 3 in 3 and outs last year. They literally could not stay on the field offensively. Not only did they have 3 and outs, the time of possession for those 3 and outs had to have been like half a minute. Yeah, like I blinked and the defense was back on the field. I'm like, oh, okay, 3 horizontal screen passes to Rondale Moore, incomplete. Let's get off the field. So that's what happens. You get an offense now that's north and south with the run game, and then tight ends are prioritized, seam routes down the middle of the field. Your quarterback's effective. He can be accurate with the football. I'm really encouraged. I hope they can do it against Dallas. It's a different story. But like the DNA of this offense, it is good. Like, trust me when I say that. Do they need better players? Absolutely. But the DNA of this offense, I think, is something you tune this baby up for when K1 comes back and you win a bunch of games.
Some very encouraging things from the offense, especially in the first half and the start the second half. And then I think this is where they snapped this picture of Drew Petzing, one of the worst photographed pictures I've ever seen in my entire life.
We have on
what is this? Yeah, what is this picture of poor Drew Petzing? Why is he being photographed? This looks like Johnny when he saw the score between us in fantasy football.
I hate you.
3 and out. They had 3 3 and outs to end the game, and
I have hair at least.
They were back breaking. So what that kind of tells me, and especially when you looked, like when you watched the Baldy breakdown, there was one play in particular where they had loaded up. Everybody in the stadium knew they were going to run the football, right? They had 3 tight ends. They had all 3 tight ends on their roster on the field. Zach Ertz, Trey McBride, and Jeff Swaim out there. They had their entire offensive line geared up. James Conner was going to run the football, and everybody knew it. And what direction do they run? They run to Elijah Wilkinson and Zach Ertz, probably as far as the 3 tight ends, the least capable as far as blocking prowess of the 3 tight ends. And they ran there and it's like, okay, let's get back to the KISS method here. Let's keep it simple, stupid. Like, let's go to Will Hernandez and Trey McBride and Paris Johnson's side. Let's not try to outthink things here. Everybody knows you're running the football. They know. So why don't you just run to your strengths instead of your weakest links on the run side?
Yeah, put away the AARP card with Zach Ertz and DJ Humphries, and let's go behind the young players, please. Trey McBride's the best pass blocking tight end, and Paris Johnson Jr. is a budding star blue chip player. Respectfully for Zach Ertz and DJ Humphries, like, you're just trying to get those guys through the season. Can we be frank with that? Staying healthy, and they're good leadership guys. Where's the upside, baby? You know where it is. It's on the right side. They need to pound Dallas's defensive line. I know it's going to be tough and intimidating. Dan Quinn's big time, but if we're going to go down with your best players. Like, that's, again, go down with your skill players that can get you yak, a la Michael Wilson, can be physical, right? Rondale Moore, let's see what he can do in the open field. I am cautiously optimistic they will do that, because each of these first 2 weeks, like, they've made adjustments, right? Like week 1, horrific offensive performance. Week 2, it's like carries for James Conner went way up. Right. Josh Dobbs got better. He was throwing the football downfield. They let him run the football. Now, defensively, can you make some tweaks? Right. I don't know if they have the horses, and that's kind of where I want to transition to. Bo Brock, you had a chance to connect with the Cardinals today, and unfortunately, it looks like they've taken a hit on their defensive line yet again.
Yeah, they have. It was official with Carlos Watkins. They haven't put him on the IR, but he's headed towards surgery, according to Jeremy Fowler. JG confirmed that today. He also confirmed that LJ Collier already had surgery, both bicep injuries. So 2 of your, guys who are going to get in that rotation, one of them a starter, are out. Watkins is destined for the IR if it doesn't happen and come down in the next few hours. So that rotation that JG says he wants to have around 5, you're searching for people. So we asked Gannon, how does he want to approach this with those 2 players being out? And this is what he had to say.
Yeah, it's just like with Buddha, you know what I mean? Next guy's got to get up and get ready to play. But I feel good about those guys going in. I thought Banks and Stills played pretty well. And then with Carlos going out in the game, you know, that we were a little short there because we'd like to play with 5. But I like the 5 that will be up. Lucky we'll get him back. He'll be out there today. And so that'll help us. But I feel good about him.
Now, I want to say this, like LJ Collier is considered in Seattle as a first round bust. Okay. He was a guy that had an encouraging training camp in preseason. You look at like his PFF grades in week 1, they weren't too impressive. Like he's not a guy that's not irreplaceable, right? I think you can find a guy that can come in their rotation and replace the productivity that you're going to get from LJ Collier. Carlos Watkins, I think, was one of the Dallas fans were upset when Carlos Watkins signed an under the radar deal this offseason with the Arizona Cardinals. But also at the same time, it's like, you know, this isn't Aaron Donald. This isn't Chris Jones. Like you can with a correct rotation, the correct coaching, you can get guys in there that can be disruptive and do the job necessarily that JG and Nick Rallis need from their defense. They just need healthy guys, right? And they didn't have that on Sunday. They won a rotation of 5, as he said in that clip, and they were down to 4 guys rotating in and out, sometimes for 3 spots. And it showed to be a weakness in a place that they could expose, and they didn't get pressure in the second half due to that. So, like, when they have Ben Stille on the roster, when they just signed Jacob Slade, the undrafted free agent out of Michigan State, like, I think if they elevate those guys from the practice squad and Lecky Fotu gets back, they should be fine up front defensively.
I don't know about fine. I think that they can manage a game through a couple quarters.
There's not a massive drop off from where it was a week ago.
I don't know. I mean, LJ Collier was playing better than I thought. He was their best defensive lineman, I thought, during preseason. You know, to me, they are interchangeable to some degree, and they scout these practice squads every week. I mean, they got to hoard guys on the defensive line on this roster because you're right. They can't be caught with their, you know, unprepared like they were this past game where you just don't have the bodies, and Saquon Barkley's running wild, and they were worn out. That defense, especially that front 7,
he didn't really run. He ran wild, and he had some big runs in the second half.
Well, that's what I mean. The second half,
yeah,
when the offense was on the field, the entire second half, of course, they were gassed. But I mean, we talked about this in the offseason. Like, I'm not surprised this is a problem because there was not an opportunity to greatly improve the defensive line. It was a underwhelming defensive line class in free agency, and the draft class.
Those guys, I think that there is a different thought process when Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon and Monty Osfort look at this defensive line. They don't look at it from the same gaze that you do.
That's fine.
A lot of people, outsiders, look at it.
Yeah, that's fine. And they prioritize edge rushers over defensive tackles, 3 and 5 techniques. And listen, if they can come up with a plan to be respectable for 17 games with a hodgepodge of just interchangeables, I will apologize in January. I feel like in January, though, we're going to be scouting big boards for April of like who's the best 5 technique or 3 technique. Because this
should anyway. I mean,
this team needs
strength of Philly. That's what, you know, that was kind of
right. That's what I'm saying. Why would they get away from that then? Like, I think this is a Band-Aid for this year. They came up with that rationale in the offseason, like keep guys fresh because we can't put it on one guy because that's how people will definitely get worn down because they certainly don't have the talent to play 90 snaps. But no, to me, I think they'll be okay because to your point, like the talent level was just kind of meh. Although Collier if Collier is healthy, I like this defense much better. Everybody else is interchangeable, and that includes Lecky Fotu. Like, can Lecky Fotu get a sack again? Can he build off of his week 1 performance? That's a big question mark. Like, was it a mistake to cut Rashad Lawrence now in hindsight? I mean, looked terrible in training camp in the preseason, but like we made an argument, have a body there, right? So I don't know. I
think as far as scheme fit, I just don't think Lawrence fit and will ever fit, right? So I just don't think like there should be any, we shouldn't let him go. I just don't think he wasn't going to fit. He's never going to fit. Where they like Lecky, and Lecky is one of those ones, Fotu, where can you trust if you like a 5-guy rotation, do you elevate a guy and make sure you just have a 6 for backup and learn from your mistake the previous week that if something happens to Fotu's shoulder that kept him out of last week, you know, you're not down tremendous on the defensive line like you were against the New York Giants where you just couldn't get any pressure at all because you guys had guys gasping for air. So
I think the most depressing aspect is the defensive line looked ahead of schedule against Washington, and it's been ripped away. And if you're telling me they can pick up guys over the course of this year and they can supplement and it'll look like a version of that, then okay, like I'm willing to be proven wrong. But that defensive line was the catalyst of that outing in Washington.
Yeah,
those D tackles were outstanding that game, and now a lot of those guys aren't around this year.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be one of the better. It's not in great shape, and their Dallas has got some injuries across their offensive line, and the Cardinals have had some fortunate luck. You know, Andrew Thomas was out last week, and Washington's offensive line stinks anyway. But it's probably going to be the stronger of the three, despite what the status is coming in with Dallas. But the Arizona Cardinals, they have to. One thing they can do to really help themselves out is just get themselves off the field. Like, they can't have breakdown. The New York Jets were on the field for 82 plays defensively last week, which is absurd. Like, that's an absurd number. And if you're out there, that's going to wear down anybody. I mean, it tells you that everything's like in front of you, right? And you're not giving up big, huge, explosive plays. But at the same time, it's like watching a Vance Joseph-led defense where it's death by 1,000 cuts, right? Yeah. You don't want that either. And if you want a rotation where guys are fresh, nobody's going to be fresh after that many plays.
Let's get to some of these super chats. Start with Sam Went Digital, $4.99. Thank you so much, Sam. I'll be at the game on Sunday. Go Cards. But my girlfriend is a Cowboys fan. Wish me luck. Listen,
dump her.
I'm not telling you to dump her to the curb, but maybe play the field while you're there. Let her know that, you've got keeping your options open a little bit. But Sam, have a great time. And hopefully we can stick it to some Cowboy fans that make the trip to State Farm Stadium. Corey the Stew with $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Corey. Thanks, guys, for the great work. You're most welcome. Kyler is coming soon. I hope so. We tried to analyze what soon meant. I think soon means soon, which is good news because it's not far away.
Yeah, I mean, definition of soon. It's not going to be a long time, right?
I'm hopeful. What
did you major in? I mean, you should be able to break this one down. Were you?
I was a broadcast journalism major, and I had a minor in English.
And
so
you should be able to answer this one right off soon.
I'm a very learned man. Absolutely. No, my wife says I use too many exclamation points, so take that for what it is. Kyler Murray's coming back soon! Exclamation point. I'll tell you what deserves an exclamation point. How about our friends at Spaghetti Shack? Check them out. The Tempe Queen Creek locations are lit. I live by Queen Creek. I go there early and often. It's my favorite spaghetti place in the entire valley, partially because ASU alum owned and operated. You like spaghetti? You like meatballs?
Who doesn't?
Gabagool, garlic bread, a few other fan favorites. I don't think they have gabagool, but they got everything else. They've got one mission, guys. It's provide quality, affordable food as quickly as possible, so that you can spend less time cooking and more time hanging with your loved ones, maybe watching Cardinal football. If you don't have tickets to the game this weekend, how about load up on Spaghetti Shack, watch the game here locally, and it's great. I'm so into Spaghetti Shack and our many partners because they emphasize everything that we want: community focus, fan flippin-tastic. They're celebrating, by the way, their new ASU location with a grand opening, and you need to get out there. It is in Tempe at ASU's campus. Spaghetti and meatballs, $3.99. Garlic bread. They're on Apache Boulevard in Tempe. I know it's become one of the hottest spots for kids on ASU's campus. I would have loved my college days to have a Spaghetti Shack, but now even better, we get it when we're 30. Spaghetti Shack is fantastic. Check them out now. You won't be sorry that you did.
I mean, we used to have to boil water and make the spaghetti on our own, and nobody wants to do that. I know it's easy, but Spaghetti Shack, they take, the traditional delicious spaghetti, and they've got even a better spin on it. Apache doesn't. I don't even recognize it any longer. It's unbelievable, all the stuff that's out there on Apache.
Yeah, I want to shack up with Spaghetti Shack, if you know what I mean. Just
cool.
Love to see it.
That's kind of odd. It's kind of weird. This is PHNX Cardinals After Dark again. I love it. Fire Gut just throwing up about 8 exclamation points in support of Johnny Venerable. Excitable Johnny, LOL. Too many exclamation points. Boston Fort saying, "Yeah, this is a learned podcast, no doubt about it. We're We're learned, educated gentlemen on this podcast.
Edumacated.
Absolutely, producer Damon. You're not going to find anything that's higher brow than this.
You see these books on this shelf?
I don't think I see one. Is there one book on that shelf?
There's 2 books here, and then there's a cassette tape of Roadhouse. These are where my priorities are, folks. We've got folks in the chat asking us to talk about what's happening in Chicago. Let's touch on that, but first I want to tell you guys about GoPHNX.com. Become a diehard. This is my favorite t-shirt I think we own, because I think it's all-encompassing of what we're about. Southwest bias, Arizona sports bias, right here, baby. You can get it for free by becoming a diehard at GoPHNX.com. Check out the merchandise locker. Pick up this t-shirt and or hat. Our hats are absolutely on point, as is our Greg Dortch t-shirt for the Greg Dortch All-Purpose Podcast. And we're collaborating behind the scenes on a special brand new t-shirt for this pod. So load up on the gear now, and then hopefully in the near, not too distant future, we can debut a new t-shirt for everybody to go cop. But again, check them out. Howard Balzer dropped a new article at GoPHNX.com today for free. Love to see that. Gerald Bourguet cranking out everything you need to get you primed up and ready to go for the Phoenix Suns debut next month. And how about our guy Jesse doing a fantastic job covering the potential wild card berth for our precious Diamondbacks? All that and more, GoPHNX.com.
Oh, and PHNX Coyotes is in Australia right now.
Oh, yeah.
So
No big
the
deal.
coverage from down under. You've got, of course, Craig Morgan and Leah Merrill there. Petey doing his own thing right now as they left him out, which I think was dirty. They're dirty dogs that made their way to Australia without our beloved Petey, who does incredible work. But you can find all that, all the ins and outs from what's going on in Australia. GoPHNX.com. We're also giving everybody an opportunity to win 2 tickets to this week's game against the Dallas Cowboys at State Farm Stadium, thanks to our friends over at BetMGM. This is simple. This is all you have to do. You just go, don't we have the QR code? Do we not have that? That's the watch party. That's at BetMGM. I think you got the ticket with the QR code. There it is. Ticket giveaway for September 24th. The drawing is going down a couple days from now, so you have time to get in. Scan the QR code here on the screen. Sign up for our daily newsletter, which are legit. It's sent to your email box, and you'll be entered to win to go to the Cowboys-Cardinals game, State Farm Stadium. Don't want to miss out on a pair of great tickets to the upcoming home game and be a part of the Red Sea, be a part of the solution, drowning out the away fans. That there's way too many of them each and every home crowd.
People being smart asses in the chat saying these are Cat in a Hat books on my shelf. I don't think so, Dylan. I read chapter books. Everybody on Shop First, Justin Fields is a bust. Nothing new in Chicago. Marco saying they're getting Caleb. So we have this graphic from yesterday. If you missed yesterday's show, that is, I think, reigns true even more so with the dumpster fire in Chicago. How about the odds to get the #1 overall pick, Bo Brock? This is from FTN Fantasy on Twitter. The Cardinals, 39%, the Bears, 33%. Now, this is all encompassing with the Cardinals, 2 picks, one coming from Houston, and then potentially the Bears pick coming from Carolina. I mean, after what I heard and saw today out of Chicago, flip these odds, because I think the Cardinals are going to win more games than the Bears, and they play each other. CJ Stroud, unfortunately, looks much more competent than whatever the hell is going on with Frank Wright and the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young looks small. He's already banged up. He may not play this week. Bull fucking shit, the people who said he was Kyler Murray 2.0. The Chicago Bears, to me, are the Arizona Cardinals circa 2022. And strap up. When your franchise operates this way, it's a long year. It took years off myself and my co-host's life last year when it came to the situation with the Cardinals running back coach, with their offensive line coach, with Hollywood Brown's arrest, right? Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury not speaking to each other. Steve Keim was MIA. It's like TMC constantly surrounding this team. And unfortunately for our friends at CHGO, that's what it feels like with the Chicago Bears right now.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I mean, who knows what to make of what was reported, what was misreported from the situation with their defensive coordinator. I saw Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus just say, hey, take a beat on this one. Don't even make fun of this, because what could potentially come out of that is not something to make light of. So we're gonna pause on that, but it just all the way around just dysfunction, and it doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel anywhere. I mean, you did have Justin Fields. I think he held like a media scrum after his media availability at the podium where he felt like he was misquoted about his comment on the coaching could be a factor. How, he was going to go out there and he was just going to F and play or whatever. I'm paraphrasing. And then somebody followed up, what could be a factor in you not, being successful. And he said coaching. And then he went back on those comments and said he takes all of course, responsibility for their ineffective play this year.
It's crazy because I think there are some parallels, not with Kyler Murray and Justin Fields, but like with the dynamic with Kingsbury and Kyler Murray were not speaking last year. They were buffering with their quarterback coach. I mean, like Justin Fields, whether he's lost all confidence in that offense. I mean, it is a stark difference from what they were last year when he's running all over the place to now. It's like they try to turn him into something he's not. And yeah, I feel for the Chicago Bear fans because that team had an over-under, Bo Brock, of 8.5 this year. And I'm thinking about what was the Cardinals over-under for last season? It was 8.5. I mean, the two situations could not be any more parallel. I know, like
there's one every year, isn't there? I mean,
yeah, it does feel like. Well, the Cardinals at least had gone to the playoffs the year before with Kyler Murray, and they had a little bit of momentum that they had re-signed their head coach and their GM, but it really felt like, and again, I'm guilty of it too. I drafted Justin Fields in our fantasy league, and I'm paying dearly now, but it felt like they were anointed because Rodgers left the division, and it just hasn't been earned. Like they hadn't proven anything.
Well, the blueprint's out, right? I mean, Todd Bowles put double spy on Justin Fields. He had 3 yards rushing in that game against the Bucs. I mean, he can't even play to his strength, which is running the football. Teams are just like, okay, if we're going to get beat by Justin Fields, he's going to do it with his arm. And I don't think he's capable of doing that right now schematically and as far as his ability to read defenses and make the throws necessary. And that's something that people discounted way too much this offseason, expecting the jump from Justin Fields. There hasn't been any tape out there that should have told you like, hey, this is something that's on the rise and it's just going to work because this is what, everybody out of Chicago is telling you is going to happen with this offense. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
It's not going to be as clean and as buttoned up come draft season if we're sitting here and the Bears and the Cardinals have the top 4 picks. Like, do you feel like there's a possibility that could happen?
The Bears and the Cardinals have the top 4 picks?
Yeah, in the draft.
That would be pretty unprecedented. But here's what I'll say about that. And it was going to be one of my points anyways. It's something that we had not warned people about, but basically said all these people saying that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be winless this season and they're going to be by far the worst team in the league and their pick is going to be the number 1 pick. And it's very rarely is that team that's the leader in the clubhouse going into the season, right? Because there are teams, like we just pointed out, year in and year out, that just collapse. Like the floor that they're standing underneath just completely falls from under them. And like we thought it was going to be the Raiders, and they're a little bit better than that. This year, it really feels like the Bears. And for things to be going south as quickly as they already have, like, who would you rather be right now? The Arizona Cardinals that have been in 2 competitive games, have had some decent quarterback play, especially in the most recent game with Joshua Dobbs, or what happened in Chicago where they haven't been competitive at all. They lost to Tampa Bay and they lost their season opener. They got their doors blown off by Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers. I think like the Arizona Cardinals have at least shown they can be competitive, where the Bears, it hasn't been.
Yeah, Matt Eberflus is 3-16. I think you make an argument he's one of the worst coaches, if not the worst coach in the NFL. Like Jonathan Gannon, I've seen much more in 2 games than I've seen in 19 games from Matt Eberflus. If they are competing for the top 5 picks in the draft, they might be competing for the same player. We know the Bears were sniffing around Paris Johnson Jr. last spring, and that required the Cardinals to trade up. Could they be sniffing around a similar player in the Midwest again at tackle? I want to start a segment. I'm gonna start it right now, Bo Brock. It's called "Is This Good?" Damon Dog, put up the graphic. Is this good? How about Joe Alt of Notre Dame? He hasn't allowed a single pressure this season. Is this good? Do you like 6'7" left tackles? Is this good? I think this is good, Bo Brock.
This is indeed very good. Joe Alt is a very good football player. We were watching the Irish play from Ireland in week 0. And you get to see him play the last couple of weeks as well. Man, he's an absolute monster. And if they were to make the decision, if one of their 2 first-round picks to go back-to-back years with franchise caliber tackles,
Yeah.
I would not poo-poo it at all. I would embrace that. To have Paris Johnson and Joe Alt on the same offensive line, maybe Alt plays the left tackle spot and Paris Johnson stays at the right tackle spot, or flip-flop it. I don't care what it is. Those are 2 incredible building blocks, especially in the trenches, to move forward with.
112 snaps this year. No pressures allowed. And Notre Dame's playing real teams. They play Ohio State this weekend. I mean, it's going to be a love fest for your boy. Marvin one possession, Marvin Harrison Jr., then you flip the script, and then there's Joe Alt the next possession. I mean, it's going to be a game we talk about certainly on the PHNX Prospects edition of PHNX Cardinals.
Again? Is it good? Yeah.
Is it good? Yes, it is good. It is a stamp of approval by this podcast. You guys absolutely crushed it today. 234 of you. Everybody do me a favor. Hit that like button down below. Subscribe to PHNX Sports. Bo, you let me know. Just crossed 17,000 subscribers here on the old YouTube page. And what could make that day even better? Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcasts, my friend.
Yes, do that. Leave a 5-star rating. Leave a review. It gets us in more ears around the valley and Cardinals fans around the nation. Puts us right there where you need to be as far as Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you find your podcasts. It just helps out the brand. I love Pat McAfee. Be a friend, tell a friend about this humble little podcast that likes to have really groundbreaking segments like, is this good? And learned podcast that is so eloquent with their work.
That's why we save it for the 60th minute of the show, Bo, because it's what everybody's waiting for. Is this good with Johnny and Bo? Yes, it is. Joe Alt is good.
Yes, he is. Just an absolute mammoth of a man. You don't think so? Look, if say the unprecedented happens and there's 2 teams within the top 5 picking for those picks, right? And don't you look at one of you got to use one of them on the defensive side of the football?
No. I was having this conversation with somebody else. You lean into
talk somebody else. You talk Cardinals football with somebody else?
Yeah, I know. You're not the only number in my phone, bro. I talk Cardinal football with anybody who wants. But that's why my DMs are open. You lean into the strength of the draft. And if the strength of the draft is offensive players, a la quarterback, wide receiver, and tackle, beggars can't be choosers. You take it. You got 12 picks. If they're not putting a priority on defensive tackles right now, they used a top 40 pick on B.J. Ojulari. Like, don't force it. Don't take an ACC defender over Joe Alt. I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. I'm just not.
Jessica, it's like Joe Bo knows what they're doing. Of course, that's our podcasting power couple name, Joe Bo, Johnny and Bo. Yeah. Thank you, Jessica. And then Red Dog Roadhouse remake. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Is this good? Who's playing Patrick Swayze in the Roadhouse remake?
Jake Gyllenhaal's playing Patrick Swayze.
Out. I'm out of that. How dare they? That is blasphemous.
There will never be another one of this right here. One of the greatest films of all time. Yeah, I think they should leave Better Enough alone. And I like Jake Gyllenhaal.
Johnny is Patrick Swayze's character in Roadhouse to ACC talent. He's out there just kicking ass, not letting them into the club.
Rip. Oh, get out of my top 5 pick. That's what I said last year about Tyree Wilson. Big 12 pass rushers, ACC defensive lineman.
Yeah.
No thanks. Check some boxes.
Out there with his tight jeans on, just kicking ass and ripping throats.
Oh, the name's Dalton. That's right, Honshaw first. The name's Joe Alt, and I don't allow pass pressure. Is this good? Yes, it is good. You guys have been fantastic today. Thank you so much to new friend, permanent friend of the program, Mr. Brian Baldinger of the NFL Network.
Does he know that he's officially a friend of the program?
He was friends with me before you jumped on. We talked pre-show, and I confirmed that he and I are buddies. But you're kind of in no man's land. He and I have actually talked. I should bring this up on the Cardinals sideline before. I'm sure he doesn't know who the hell I am, but we are friends now. Yes.
It looks like Monsters Inc., like the 2 characters in Monster Inc. when you guys are on the sidelines.
Okay, bro. Just taking shots, saying I go to Curves, saying I'm Sully and what's his name from Monsters Inc.
You and Baldy.
I didn't know I was going to come on this show and just catch heat from my guy left to right today. This is the kind of show I want to do.
It's all love. It's all love. We have a good time.
Love. I hate it here. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star. Brian Baldinger, a gem of a man, coming on with us every single week here on PHNX Cardinals. I would say for Bo Brock, but no. Follow me at Johnny Venerable. Follow my guy, Damon Dog, behind the mic, crushing it as always. We're back on Friday. Off tomorrow, back for a Football Friday preview show. Cowboys at Cardinals. See you then.